to another episode of the Reliever podcast with Louis Debaere and Willem Himpe. Hopefully you enjoyed our first podcast, and today we're gonna try a new concept with Louis. We're gonna try to look at 5 tweets or 3 tweets, and we're gonna discuss these topics and what they mean in the world and what our personal opinion is about them. So voilà. But first, maybe Louis, how are you doing? How is it going?
Great. I'm ready for some spicy takes. Some tweets of the week. Let's go.
Yes, let's go. Maybe zo niet zo'n beetje aan het schuin zetten of zo, dat dat makkelijker natuurlijk is of zo.
Ja.
Anders is dat zo raar dat we zo moeten daar spreken.
Ja, het is raar, maar ik zou het ook wel kunnen gewend komen. Eigenlijk zo hierna zijn misschien op het scherm moeten komen. In het verhaal.
Ja, wat? Dat is best dan.
Hoe stuk ik er nu nog heb?
Nu sta je er nog. Maar anders de laatste keer. En kunnen we het niet...
Maar,
als we dat connecteren of zo.
Hey?
Dat hier connecteert met mijn computer. Nee, en dan die van jou en daar. En dat we het dan zo zien.
Ah ja, QuickTime. Ja, QuickTime.
Not really sure.
Met een telefoon is het.
Billy, I'm gonna call you back. I'm quickly recording a podcast with Louis.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
The goddamn closet.
Okay, but actually, yeah, let's do it now. We're just gonna look to the
yeah.
camera, and then the next time.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. We'll cut this. 1, 2, 3.
Goed.
Yes. So, Louis, what is the first tweet? The first tweet is from Sam Altman, which says, "The biggest indicator of a mid company is spending tons of energy on things other than making their core product/service better." What is your personal opinion, and why is Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, saying this?
Yeah, he's seen a lot of companies for sure at Y Combinator. I think as a small company, you just cannot. You can only think about what's important to the company. As a larger company, maybe it makes sense to look into the right processes, but if you're, like he says, mid-level, you have to make sure that you have a sustainable business in the long run, and so you should invest in making sure that the business is still there. Otherwise, what was the tweet? What was the exact phrasing?
The phrasing: the mid company is spending tons of energy on things other than making their core product
right. So
better.
if you work too much on like the right rules, it's not necessarily bad. But if there's no business there in a couple of years, then the rules are for nothing. So
yeah, it's kind of constantly. In the beginning of a company, you really need to focus on innovating and doing something new or better in a way. But then once the company is a bit established, then it's kind of the main priority is to not make the cash cow go away, and kind of really do anything that you can to keep that alive, which is kind of counterproductive, or is kind of not helping to evolve the company.
It is necessary to take it to the next stage, if there is a next stage, if your company is viable to become even larger. Usually that's because it's just grown way too fast, but you don't always know if there is a next step.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of you have to, as well, to finance the next step, you need to make sure that kind of the service that or product that you're now offering doesn't decrease, because then there's no kind of time or energy or resources to create that next improvement.
Yep.
That's kind of as well with major companies like Apple or let's say Google. That is still their old revenue model that they're still optimizing, but that is funding, for example, DeepMind, which could result into the next innovative world changing product or service, let's say like that. Okay?
Yep.
Perfect. The next tweet: hacking is about seeing things for what they actually are and not for what people say they are. The name of the function doesn't change its behavior. This is from George Hotz.
George Hotz, he was one of the first big iPhone jailbreakers, and now he with his company Comma, he's taken on self-driving Tesla with self-driving. But
And he's as well, I think, a streamer. He like streams a lot and does a lot of crazy
that's possible.
stuff in hacking.
But so he's a legit hacker, and what you'll find in the real world, in your everyday life, a lot of time you end up talking to a facade. I call it a facade. It's kind of like the front of a building, but it could just as well be made of cardboard. If you don't actually inspect what you're interfacing with, what you're talking to, then it might just be a facade. So really think carefully when somebody tells you something. Don't just take their word for it. It's not because something says X, something says trusted, that it is trusted. So in order for us as humans to specialize and grow in certain areas, we have to rely on protocols, on words. But
it's kind of, if I can add on, it's because we're human and we kind of always want to save energy. And it's, for example, very easy for us to say, this oven heats your food up. But then, for example, with hacking, have to hack and literally how is it heating up and everything, and you learn everything behind it. But that requires a lot of energy, and that's kind of it. A lot of processes, a lot of thinking. It's easier for us humans to just immediately accept what the words are saying instead of really deep dive into the real meaning or the real function of certain things.
Yes, you need these shortcuts to survive. So we rely on tons of heuristics every day, or we would become crazy because we receive hundreds and millions of impulses. And if we didn't have these shortcuts, these crutches to rely on, what's a good example of a simple heuristic?
I would simple heuristic. No, not immediately. I would say with programming languages that as well you build step by step. And
but like every day we make very small trust-based decisions out of habit. And if you, as soon as you start,
for example, going to the putting gas inside of your car, for example, that would be. I go there, put my card in, and I accept. If I put on the right button, it will be diesel in my car and not, for example.
Yeah, for example, like of course you don't verify what goes into your car. You just assume that it's fine. Like I'm sure many of our listeners have never hunted their food themselves, so you might as well be served some kind of maize mixture.
You don't know.
So you have to make these leaps, these jumps, these shortcuts. And the way to hack the world is to just focus all your attention on one particular aspect, and you'll very soon be able to exploit it, to game the system, if you focus enough of your attention on it.
Okay, perfect. And the third tweet is from Doge Designer, but is I think quote by Elon Musk. People get confused sometimes. They think an economy is money. Money is a database for exchange of goods and services. Money doesn't have power in and of itself. The actual economy is goods and services, said by Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Let's elaborate on that. Do you agree with this statement, and kind of what is it actually, how does it make you feel? What does it kind of resonate with you? It doesn't resonate with you?
It does. I think Elon is uniquely placed to realize that the real economy or real growth comes from actually producing stuff, from real things. If you just shuffle money around, nothing wrong with being a lawyer or an accountant or a banker, but you're not actually creating anything. You still need this engine of growth to be actually building things, real value, providing services.
It's kind of a very weird duality because you kind of a person that does finance or is, for example, a trader, what he does, he takes a certain pool of money and kind of invests it into certain things, gets profit or no profit from it, and then with that, again, reallocates money. And in a way, you're not creating a better world directly, but you could say, okay, if you invested into startups which wouldn't have funds, they, for example, can now build that technology and so on. That's very legit, but it still starts, if you go back to with the engineer that literally builds a product, because without them, and you just would give a finance guy 100 million euro, and then that guy gives 100 million euro invest to other people, and then again it keeps going into circles, and you never create value. You need, at the end of the chain, it's always an entrepreneur or an engineer or a doctor who engineers something in healthcare, who really builds something that people want in a service or in a product.
And not an engineer necessarily. These traders also always will need to eat, and they'll have like fancy parties. They'll go to restaurants. So those things are necessary.
Engineer is just the easy example, because they're really building up with softwares, with bits, with other hardwares,
but
with
the wine and the food from the restaurant needs to come from somewhere.
That as well. And now you could say as well, that's kind of an engineer, an agriculture engineer who...
Yeah, the very first engineers.
The very first engineers who kind of made everything, or the massive growth of the population possible. Okay. Now, the next startup is from Naval. Naval, you know Naval pretty well. Maybe quickly, how do you know Naval, and what does he mean for you?
He's described as a philosopher, and he's the founder of AngelList. He also invested in lots of startups, and he's also famous for his famous tweet storm about getting rich without getting lucky.
Yeah.
So his tweets are he's a must follow, I would say.
Definitely. And this tweet that we're quoting now from Naval is: "Startups are the Olympics of business. Consumer-facing apps are the 100-meter dash." So
and one aspect of like startups and entrepreneurship is that this highlights is consumer-facing is much harder than business to business. So B2C business is harder than a B2B business. I think this is because consumers just have more choice. It's harder to start a B2C business, and but easier to scale it once you really hit that critical mass. It's easier to start a B2B SaaS company, but harder to scale that.
I would say it's as well in a kind of our function of what we want to optimize. If it can be very analytical, as a company, it's very easy. What do you want? You want more profit, or you want lesser cost, which as well end up into more profit, or you want improvement of the stakeholders, and then it's very you make this service, will it save me money, or it make me more money? Okay, yes or no. With a person, it's very different. It's like every person has its own kind of things.
Yeah, everybody's competing for your... all other companies are competing for your attention. So $10 for Spotify, $10 for Netflix here. And
Correct.
That's about it.
And it's often we don't really know what we want, because now we have an iPhone and we spent, let's say, now already above €1,000 on it. But initially, if you would say, here is a thing where you can call and do all these things, listen to music and so on, do you want that? People would say, no, I have my iPod, I have all this thing. People don't immediately know what they want, and that's why it's very difficult in the consumer, because he says it's a 100-meter dash, because it's kind of, you as well have to kind of create the market, or really build something that is really that's kind of not really known yet, in a way, or
might be more winner take all as well. It might be more winner take all, because you either get everyone or you just die out pretty quickly.
Correct. And it's easier for in a B2B maybe.
It's way easier, I think, to be forgotten, because you have their attention now, but you might not have it tomorrow. Like very finicky. New subscription, and businesses, I mean, if you provide them value, you're part of their process.
Yeah, voila, perfect. And then the last tweet that we're going to talk about is Brett Hall. He says, one day the only jobs people will do will be the jobs only people can do.
I really like this one because a lot of jobs that I see that people say that are going to be replaced by automation. I mean, that sounds negative, but I feel like a lot of jobs should be replaced by automation because they're not very human friendly. Like everything that has to do with moving boxes, moving inventory, in my opinion, shouldn't be done by a human if it could be done by a robot. Not because, and without fearing that the human no longer has anything to do. I just believe my belief in humanity, as Elon Musk would say, my faith in humanity, my confidence is that much higher that I think humans should be doing way more creative work. Of course, you need this confidence. You need to believe that there is a job out there for you. But if you think that the best you can do is moving boxes around, then I've got bad news for you. So as soon as it can be automated, I think it should be automated, and I think we should have faith that there's always going to be uniquely human skills that can be used.
Correct. 2 examples. For example, now a content creator that was never really a job in the past, or these kind of are new jobs created because of a new economy that exists. And as well, the one thing that's difficult is it's very kind of when we have a job, if it's now moving boxes, delivering people's mail, or writing code in software, every person has often pride in what they do, and it's kind of taking that away and giving it to kind of a machine is sometimes very difficult. For example, delivering the post, and now it's suddenly a robot delivering your post, then often it has happened in the past with people will stand up like, no, that's my job, you can't automate that, but actually that person, for example, would be an amazing writer, and an artificial intelligence can't create perfect stories yet, or perfect music, and that person would be much happier if they would do it than constantly running around delivering people's mail in a way. And it's often people, it's difficult for them to shift often because we always like to be in our comfort zone, and it's kind of when our comfort zone gets confiscated, I'm not sure if that's the right word, then we kind of rise
fear.
up.
It's mostly fear.
It's mostly fear. We don't know what's going to happen.
If you look for what cannot be automated, you will find something, because we are very, very far away from a world where we have figured out what makes humans special and unique, and we might never.
Well, one last question before I end. What do you think we will never be able to automate? Because now with GPT-3 coming out, it's kind of, it was first the left, the very autonomous stuff that got automated. Now it's kind of a little bit creative of creating.
Well, GPT-3
text.
makes it even more obvious. So the general answer is creativity, but I think everything that's not rational, everything that's worth it for human that cannot be explained. So yeah, humans are good at doing irrational stuff you just cannot write a recipe for. That boils down to creativity in the end. But yeah, I think GPT-3 shows us what creativity is all about. I mean, it's not about sounding human. It's not about just following along, mimicking, parroting what everybody else is saying. And ironically, a lot of people are doing that in their day-to-day.
Well, and it's kind of what you're saying is the irrational stuff that people computers or artificial intelligence won't be able to.
If you can't give me a reason, then I have the utmost confidence that it's the right decision for you. Because if you're bogged down by a reason, that means you've rationalized it. So you've self-justified it. You've given yourself a reason not to feel ashamed about wanting something, and that's I think the worst you can do. Just allow yourself to have what you want.
Okay, that's very nice to end. I feel like, Louis, thank you. This was another fun episode, and hopefully you like this kind of new format of where we talk about a couple of tweets that's very going on in the recent days. So let us know, give us a like, subscribe, give us good feedback, positive or negative, anything's welcome, and see you on the next episode. Bye bye.